Hey, it's Doris with All of the Books, and I'm going to start my January wrap-up today. I read a lot of books in January, and a lot of them I read thematically with Middle Eastern reads and books dealing with Judaism or Islam, and so I am going to do those in two separate videos, one on the Jewish books and one on the Muslim books. But today these are the generic books that I read in January, the random ones maybe I should say. My first read for 2018 was Furthermore by Tahereh Mafi. This is a middle grades read, and in typical middle grades fantasy fashion, it is very whimsical and quirky and delightful. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's very vivid and colorful, and the storyline is a little girl that her father has gone missing about 3 years now, and she and this friend of hers, well, they're not friends at first, are sort of tasked with the job of finding her father. And so they have to go to another magical land to do so, and you come across all kinds of different strange and unique beings in this world. But the one thing that I thought was so fascinating was Tahereh Mafi makes the main female protagonist white, and she is uncharacteristically white in this world. This world is known by its color. Everyone is very colorful. The world itself is colorful. The magic in the world is surrounded, is driven by color, and she is very white, and she deals with her thoughts of feeling ugly and unwanted because of the color of her skin. And I'm sure you can see the profound conversations that you could have with children on this topic. So yes, this was very well written and very interesting and quirky and fun and thought-provoking, and I'm very much looking forward to reading the sequel soonish. The next one I finished in this stack anyway was Mary Stewart's Touch Not the Cat. This was my first Mary Stewart, and I will readily admit being sucked into Mary Stewart because of the gorgeous covers. Oh my gosh, I was just dying over them. But I'm delighted to report that Mary Stewart's writing is fun too. I have finally found my cozy mystery niche, Mary Stewart, all the way. Her writing is just, it's so pleasant and enjoyable. There's enough tension to, you know, keep you a little on edge, but not enough to stress you out. The characters are very enjoyable and pull you in, and I think that she writes different travel-esque locales. This one is set in England at a pseudo castle. There's a moat around it, but it's not like a full-blown castle. It's kind of a historical estate, I guess you would say. And yeah, and this one was written in '76, but I think there's a really broad range of dates. I think most of them are even earlier than, quite a bit earlier than that she wrote them. But this one has a little tiny bit of ESP flair, you know, dating back to the '70s. But one thing I liked about her book, besides all the other things, is they didn't feel too dated. Like, she didn't go into great detail about the clothing styles and, you know, things around the home. It was more kind of historical in a historical novel sense, instead of like, oh, that was in the '70s. Other than the ESP and just knowing that ESP was all the rage in the '70s, this wasn't an overtly '70s read. So yeah. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to more Mary Stewart. I think I'm going to get on the one-a-month bandwagon with some other friends. So yay. The next one that I want to share, I kind of got distracted watching Riley from RM Fic Fac, one of her wrap-ups, and she talked about this graphic novel, Tumbly. So, I don't know, I was just in the mood and on a whim looked it up at my library and they had it and I breezed through it and it was a great deal of fun. This is about a girl who from the get-go is just not interested in being a girly girl. She's not interested in dresses or dolls or all of that girly stuff, and I totally relate. I wasn't nearly as out there on the spectrum as she is, but yeah, it was a very refreshing read and very thought-provoking as well. So enjoyed that one. And then finally I read Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, and this is a book that withstands all the hype. It totally lived up to it. Wow. I'm not going to say too much about it because good golly, everybody knows what this book is about. I will say it wasn't nearly as gothic as I expected from my perspective. And her writing, I listened to this on audio and it was excellent on audio, truly excellent. And the one thing I wanted to say about it is that it reads, or it listened like I was watching a miniseries. It was so vivid and in the moment and immersive that I just felt like I was watching it as a miniseries on TV, and I was actually just listening to the book. It was that picturesque. So highly recommend Rebecca, just like everybody else. If you haven't read it yet, what are you waiting for? It is totally that good, just like everybody says it is. Another one I read that really plays into both the Middle Eastern reviews that I'm going to do later is The Good Immigrant. And this one is written by UK authors and artists that have come together and made this compilation. And it was really good. The first story, for whatever reason, just didn't connect with me at all. And so I didn't think I was going to like it a lot. But I kept on because it was just the first essay. But then I totally did. These were great. Two that stand out to me, one of them was talking about, you know, after 9/11 and the Muslim, what's the word for it? I can't think of the word right now. But, you know, they were targeted at airports, you know, to be searched and whatever the word is for that. Ugh. But it was kind of really neat. I read that essay right before reading Home Fires, which is, they were talking about going through the airport security and how difficult it was for them. And it was really neat, the connection there. But the other story, that essay that really resonated with me was one that talked about people of color in literature. And she talks about literature being a window that you can look through and escape your own reality and see other realities around the world, see other places and other peoples, which, you know, is necessary in this world, in my opinion. And she also talked about books being mirrors, and you need to be able to look in books and see yourself. And that's just profound. That is way profound. So, yeah. So, good stuff in this one as well. And then the last one that I want to talk about today is One Crazy Summer by Rita Williams Garcia. And this is another little middle grade that is very heavily meddled. And this was just a delightful read. It was a quickie little read about three sisters in the late 60s that travel on an airplane by themselves without adult accompaniment to visit their mother that has kind of just left their lives. and their dads kind of forced her to spend some time with them. And it was just a fun, interesting read, and it talked about the Black Panther movement somewhat, which I know about, but I haven't read about extensively, so that was really interesting to me to get a little glimpse into that. And this one is for Denise Cooper's Reading Blackout 2018, so I'm going to read at least one African American author each month. So I grabbed this one because I actually had another book started on my Kindle, but the library recalled it before I finished, so I was in a panic to read one at the end of the month, and so I grabbed the middle grades because I knew I could whip it out in a day. So yeah, another good read. So January was off to a brilliant 2018's off to a brilliant start. January was an excellent reading month for me. So I will be back later this week with 2 more wrap-ups and some other things. So I will chat with you then. Bye.